Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Deb Holland and we're continuing our series on taming the toxic workplace. This is my workbook available on Amazon.com excuse me, and DebHollandLCSW.com. Today we're going to talk about strategy number 3 under setting realistic goals, and that is dealing with the problem as it exists right now. The last couple of weeks we've talked about solving the problem in its entirety. Then we talked about influencing the problem so that part of it is resolved. So what do you do if you can't solve the problem in its entirety and you can't influence it to even resolve part of it? That there's just no way that organizational change is a possibility at this point in time. Now, it may be that you have been chosen to deal with the problems in the work environment, that you have a great plan, that you have a real crystal clear idea of what the problems are, where they're coming from, and what can be done about them, but that now is just simply not the right time. So until it's the right time, or if there's never going to be a right time, and sometimes, my friends, that is in fact the case, and sometimes that's just the way that it is, what can you do to deal with a problem as it exists right now? Well, there are some time-tested strategies for this that people have come up with over the course of time, regardless of what you're going through. That's any kind of a hardship, and toxic workplaces are absolutely one of the most difficult hardships that we can ever face. So, here's some things you can do. Just work on reducing the impact that the problem has on you. For right now, don't worry about trying to help anybody else. Don't worry about trying to be a catalyst for change at a larger level within the organization. And the number one thing that you can do when stuff is happening in the work environment, or even in your personal life, honestly, where you've tried and there's nothing you can do to solve things, people will not play ball, you're surrounded by people who are less mature, less healthy, less whatever than you are in a negative way, and you are bringing more positive to the table, and you're there at the table in good faith and they simply aren't, detach. I'm going to say that again. The number one thing you can do when you're faced with a situation that seems really unsolvable, detach. How do you do that? Why do you do that? What does that look like? Let's talk about that for a couple of minutes. Detachment doesn't mean necessarily that you cut people completely out of your life, that you stop speaking with people, that you stop doing a good job, or any of those things. Detaching means that in your mind and in your heart, you say to yourself, you know what? I've got to put some space between me and this whole situation. I've got to have a buffer zone in which I can build back my own health and wellness and just sort of let the rest of this happen around the outside of me. A term that I use, I'm from Montana, and there's always wildfires there every season, and a term that gets used every wildfire season is defensible space. Defensible space means a zone around your home that the firefighters can use to protect your home from the flames. If you've got overgrowth and brush and tall trees and all kinds of stuff, because of the way that forest fires move and they leap from crown to crown of the trees and they sweep through the brush, you've got to have defensible space, because if you have that stuff, the trees and the brush right up next to your house can be gone like that. And you know what? It's the same way in our lives. It's exactly the same way in our lives. So in terms of your work life, you've got to build some defensible space around yourself. And the way to do that, take a big old step back. That's what you have to do. And in your mind, you've got to let go of feeling like you really want to change this, feeling like you really need to change this. Now, it's different if you're responsible for changing something, and we're going to talk about that in a future series about leadership. But if you're a line staff, if you're an employee, if you're a entry-level supervisor and you've gone to your superiors over this, nobody is willing to even acknowledge the problem. Maybe you're being ridiculed for thinking that there is a problem. Whatever your situation is, that you're not being taken seriously, that the situation isn't being taken seriously, or here's almost always what's at the root of this, that someone is benefiting in some way from the problems, the best thing you can do is to just pause, just hit pause on the fight and just step back and just kind of let it develop. Maybe the timing will be better soon, or maybe you'll end up with a better opportunity. If nothing else, in the meantime, you're really going to grow, and that's always a great thing, right? So, after you detach, what do you do? Because for a lot of us, myself included,
that there's a void, then there's a detachment. We've been engaged in a struggle, and we have that energy to spend somewhere else now, right? And we want to spend that energy in something productive and helpful. So we've got to come up with new things to put in place to the fight. So here are some things that you do. You don't make things worse. When you detach and you step back, you don't make things worse. That's a time for introspection and reflection. That's a time when you take a look at potentially what was your part in what took place. Maybe you are 0% at fault. Those situations happen. There are bad enough people in the world with bad enough intentions that they create issues and catastrophes and tragedies and traumas and dramas all by themselves. If that's your situation, own that. Own that you did not cause the problem, but also own that how you dealt with the problems may have had some room for improvement. And if that's the case, learn from it and grow. So, after you've gotten yourself kind of squared away in the work environment, you've detached, you figure out how to not make things worse, then you need to set about the business. And this is the good stuff. This is the fun stuff, the stuff that you've been waiting for, the stuff that was stolen from you when the toxic workplace encroached on your life. And for some folks, it ends up nearly destroying them. And in some cases, it actually does destroy them. And to me, that's one of the biggest tragedies of all. Our workplaces should not be like that. That's why I do the work that I do. That's why I'm so passionate about this subject. So the good part is re-engage and rebuild your own life. Life is short, my friends. Life is precious. It can be gone before you know it. The people you love can be gone before you know it. So make sure that the life that you're living today, right now, at this point in time, is the life that you most want to be living. And if it's not, and there are things in your way, then keep the faith, keep coming up with strategies for working through the issues. And if you're happy with where you're at, then actually enjoy it. Enjoy it, enjoy it, enjoy it. Enjoy every good moment, every good day, every good month, every good year that you get. Because we all know that rain falls into all of our lives, just like the Bible says. And there are times where we are going to go through hardships, and that is just all there is to it. That is just life. We have a whole experience, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's all mixed in there together. So use this as an opportunity for growth. If there are activities or hobbies or friendships or relationships or whatever that you gave up because you were too tired or too stressed to be a part of those things, this is the time to pick those things back up and begin enjoying your life again. And if you find yourself in a situation where you look around and you say, you know what, my whole life didn't really work for me. There were some things that really needed to change. I just kind of outgrew where I was. Then use this time of reflection while you're waiting for things to line up with the timing in the work environment to try and take on the fight again. If you decide to do that, use the downtime to rebuild something new. What do you want to do for activities, for hobbies, for worship, for friendships, for family, volunteering, community? What do you want to do? Because you matter, and your life matters, and your happiness matters. So figure out what it is that you want and go out and make those things happen. Bottom line, you need to take excellent care of yourself in every way, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Take good care of yourself. Toxic workplaces take a massive, massive toll, and they can absolutely destroy people emotionally. They can absolutely shake their faith. They can rob them of their faith. And they can absolutely render us so sick that we are basically non-functional. So make sure as you're going through this process, even during a time when you have stepped back from the fight, that you're still taking really good care of yourself, because it is, in fact, that important. Then plan your own future. We've already talked about this a little bit, but do some longer term thinking. If you know you're in a job that's just a dead-end situation and it's going to be years, if not decades, before the problems get resolved, then what can you do to have a more satisfying job, to have a healthier job, a job that is perhaps a better fit for you? Think about those things, do a little bit more long-term planning. Find support and mentally move on. Figure out what other people around you, whether it's inside the organization or out, are honest, good, healthy people who can help you keep your perspective, stay grounded, and move forward in a positive way. Whether it's continuing, just step back, say, hey, nothing I can do about this right now. I know what to do when the time comes, but right now is not that time. Or they can say, you know what, I think maybe it's time to take up the fight again. I think things are lining up for you. I think you've got an opportunity to make some change here. Find those kind of people and trust them and lean on them. They will help you get through it. Finally, the last thing, love your family more than you hate your job. On your worst days, on the days where you keep your head going in, and you just can't even stand the thought of being around the nasty people one more day, love your family more than you hate your job, and show up anyway and do the best you can and get through the day and keep your faith and keep your strength, and most importantly, keep your hope. I love you guys. I'll be thinking about you this week. I'll be praying for you this week. We're going to come back next week and we're going to wrap this series up. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day today.